The United States of America is now moving closer and closer to being on the very cusp of an all-out civil war, as police officers are now being killed in the streets by violent and dangerous individuals. We now have this coming out of Las Vegas. Officers shot in the head from behind during the Las Vegas riots. We have an NYPD officer being struck by a hit-and-run driver in the Bronx. Here we see similar instances happening in Buffalo, New York, where a car ran over a whole group of police officers. Here we see entire shootouts taking place where 4 police officers were shot in St. Louis, 2 officers and 2 civilians were shot in Iowa in a massive shootout. Here we also see video shows NYPD cops being beaten and attacked by several men once again in the Bronx. And here in Chicago, we see rioters throwing explosives, bringing these tensions obviously escalating to all new levels here as they're bringing literally explosives into the mix, guys. So in this video, we're going to talk about the fact that, yes, these police officers need to be held accountable for the decades and decades of oppression that they've been putting upon a society. But we're also going to talk about the fact that these guys are just pawns in the game. They're pawns in the bigger scheme of things, and the real target ought to be the king and queens in this game. So in this video, we're going to talk exactly about who that represents. But before we do, I'd ask you to check us out here on GoFundMe, the PFT Demonetized campaign. If I had $1 for every subscriber, we could make the MSM obsolete. And indeed, that is the goal, guys. So if you appreciate our efforts here at Press for Truth to bring you this information, please check the links on the screen or in the description below to find out how you can support our efforts moving forward. All right, so as we said, right now, America is moving closer and closer and closer to being on the brink of an all-out civil war. We know Trump just announced they are going to be putting military in the streets at huge numbers. And now things are escalating to the point that people are pushing back and beginning to point the guns at the cops and literally pulling the trigger. This one out of Las Vegas. It says sources have now confirmed that an officer was shot in the head near the Circus Casino and is now on life support at University Medical Center. The source added that the officer was shot in a dispute with another suspect when a third person walked up behind the officer and shot him. Sheriff Joe Lombardo reported that the officer was in critical condition at University Medical Center in Las Vegas. The suspect was arrested in the early hours of Tuesday morning. So again, this is obviously horrific that a third party witnessing a dispute between an officer and someone else would walk up and shoot the man in the back of the head. That says a lot about how quickly things are escalating in the United States. We also see in this a video recently surfaced of a police officer being struck by a car. We don't know, obviously, the intentions of the driver at this point, but this video shows it's very graphic. It shows the officer being struck right there, and obviously the car continues to just carry on, but that's not the only time we've seen something like that. Here in Buffalo, New York, we see this video here as a number of police officers can be seen swarming a particular intersection. It looks to be pushing back a whole group of protesters, when all of a sudden, out of nowhere, you'll see just here from the right of the screen, some of the officers start kind of running out of the way, but before they could get fully out of the way, a car comes barreling through and quite literally runs over a whole pack of them. As you'll see from the footage here. Again, links will be located in the description below for all of this stuff, guys. And here it is. Car just comes barreling through, and it is alleged to believe it was somebody on the side of the protesters, more properly described as these aggressive rioters. And these things are continuing to escalate. We have here this huge shootout. Let me just turn up the volume here and just get a load of what took place in St. Louis. Four police officers were shot in this incident. It just keeps going. I mean, this is quite the shootout between police and these dangerous individuals. And as Syrian Girl says here, 4 police officers shot in St. Louis, 2 police and 2 civilians shot in Iowa. This looks like the cusp of a civil war. We see here in the Bronx, officers being attacked by these guys, throwing an object at the officer's head. It says an NYPD officer was attacked by several men in the Bronx Monday night as onlookers recorded the struggle, egged on the suspects. The footage, which was tweeted by the city's Sergeant Benevolent Association, shows 2 men forcefully toss an unknown object at an officer who's on the ground struggling with somebody else. After the second man attacks, the man tussling with the cop runs free, the video shows. The officer, appearing dazed, gets up after the group flees and immediately draws his gun, but doesn't appear to point it towards anyone in particular, according to the video. So not only are they firing at them, they're physically fighting them in the streets now in the Bronx and in Chicago. Get a load of this one. This is pretty wild video that just surfaced of these guys throwing explosives at the cop car. I thought at first it was like a firework at something, but just watch how this thing explodes after he throws it and it ignites. So right here on the right of the screen, you'll see one of these guys, boom, he throws something, it lands, and then kaboom! That is a pretty huge explosion, guys. And then people run for their lives. I don't know if that was a grenade or what that was. Maybe he got a hold of some sort of flashbang or something, but that was pretty big. That was a pretty bold and aggressive move. And as we said, guys, in the beginning of this video, we're going to talk a little bit about the fact that these guys are just pawns in the game. Yes, they need to be held accountable. But let's say for hypothetically, for example, you found out that, let's say, Burger King, for example, started doing something very shady to their meat. They're putting something in there and it's killing people. You know that it's killing people. Well, you're not going to walk into just any old Burger King and start taking your aggression out on the girl who's behind the cash register. No, that's not going to make sense. You're going to go to the higher ups and their higher ups and their higher ups, and you're going to confront the people who are actually responsible for what is taking place here. That's what we got to do. Now, if these guys are pawns in the game, who are the kings and who are the queens? Well, I would suggest that all of the problems can currently be solved if we actually hack at the root of the issue rather than these twigs and sticks that you see here. If you want to hack at the root of the problem, it's the private banksters. It's those who have been lending money to countries at interest. It's those who have been printing fiat out of thin air, lending it to you and putting you in massive, massive amounts of debt. That is the root that we have to hack at, not these, as I said, little twigs and branches. Now, how does one go about doing something like that? Well, here's the part that you might not want to hear, folks. It's not easy to do. It's a lot easier said than done. And it has to be done in a peaceful manner. So how can you achieve that possibly in a peaceful manner? Well, I would suggest that global non-compliance at this stage in the game is the answer. If you have a mortgage or a line of credit or a credit card or multiple credit cards and you're racking up debt, that is what you need to stop. We need to get out of the clutches of the banksters who have people in debt and have the ability to squeeze more and more simply by raising interest rates. But it's until then that we get out of that debt, we're going to continue to be slaves in this game. As I said, it's easier said than done. This may mean that you have to lower your standards of living, so that you can actually afford something outright. But this is incredibly important moving forward. If people continue to focus on the distraction rather than the major issue, the distraction being the pawns who are carrying out the agenda at the hands of their puppet string pullers, the banksters, that ultimately is who we have to go after, guys. So again, what we're seeing right now in the United States with this violent attacks with weapons, people beating up cops in the streets, shootouts happening, lots of innocent lives being killed, people being trampled over in police cars, these guys being shot in the back of the head. I mean, this is not the way we have to go. This is not the answer. Again, attacking the pawns in the game is only going to give them the reason to clamp down on you even more and have the National Guard employ all-out martial law. What we need to do is hack at the root, and the root is the banksters who have robbed every country of this world by putting them in debt, charging interest, by printing money out of thin air. That's the problem that we have to focus on, guys. If you agree that this is not the way society needs to go, please click the thumbs up button, share the video, and let people know things are escalating at exponential rates in the United States, and it's going in a negative direction. And a lot of this is being steered by organized outside powerful forces who are pushing society into this violent area so that order can be issued out of the chaos. I've talked about that for many, many years here on this channel, and we're now starting to see it play out right before our very eyes. Don't fall for it, guys. We need to hack at the real root of the problem. It's the global international banksters, the likes of the Rothschilds, that are the true king and queens in this game that we're all being played in. So if you agree, please, guys, click the thumbs up button, share this video. I mean, we're being heavily shadow banned right now. YouTube does not want to share this kind of information. They want people to just be rioting in the streets so that the police can clamp down on them. Also, don't forget to check us out here at our GoFundMe page, PFT demonetized. If I had $1 for every subscriber, guys, we can make the MSM obsolete. If you appreciate my efforts to bring you this information in this current information war, please check the links on the screen or in the description below to find out how you can get involved. And once again, guys, don't fall for it. We need to hold the sticks and twigs accountable, yes, but we got to hack at the root, more so now than ever. And that is the big bad banksters. Once again, guys, click the thumbs up button, share this video. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned. We're going to have more video reports coming soon. This is Dan Dix reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.